Senate President Godswill Akpabio has recommended the setup of an ad-hoc committee to investigate the internal crisis within the People's Democratic Party. This move is seen as a response to the ongoing power struggle and infighting within the opposition party. Akpabio's recommendation has sparked further debate and discussion within the Senate, and it remains to be seen how the PDP will respond to this development. However, according to some, this isn't the first time Akpabio has taken a swipe at the People's Democratic Party. During plenary, he specifically criticized Governor Siminialayi Fubara of Rivers State, handling of the political tension in the state, emphasizing the need for better relations between the governor and lawmakers, as well as sustainable governance. It's also worthy of note that this isn't the first time Akpabio has spoken out against the PDP. As a former member of the party himself, he has been vocal about his disagreement with their policies and actions. The latest criticism, however, highlights the ongoing tension between the PDP and the ruling party at the national level. Let's take a listen at what transpired at the floor of the plenary.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, as it was known, once stood as a formidable platform for democratic participation and national development. Unfortunately, it has been engulfed in persistent crises ranging from internal divisions to lack of clear leadership and direction. In view of the need to maintain multi-party democracy in Nigeria, I urge the Senate to take this matter seriously by setting up an ad-hoc committee and engage relevant stakeholders and propose reforms that will ensure the survival of a viable opposition in Nigeria.
Mr. President, as I'm speaking to you now, there is no division in PDP. We may be having issues in PDP. There is crisis, no doubt about it, but definitely there is no division in the rank and file and the leadership of the PDP.
Your point of order, in your submission, you failed to ask the minority leader one small question. Who is your national secretary? Why I'm mentioning this to you is that the governor served their national secretary, the other members serve their national secretary, of constitutional order, and I mean, I'm not supposed to talk, but I am also a Nigerian and a politician. But I know that for them, once there is a division in the NWC, not at the state level, once there is a division in the NWC, the National Working Committee, any member of a party has a right to look for succor elsewhere. Very fundamental and constitutionally guaranteed.
The PDP is a law-abiding institution organization, and so the Court of Appeal made a pronouncement on the secretaryship of the party, and the party is adhering to that Court of Appeal decision until it is otherwise ruled. Are you the presiding officer? Leader, you are not the presiding. He asked me a question. No, let me answer the question. The Senate President has asked me a question. No.
Well, you just saw there a little bit of what transpired on the floor of the House recently. Now, joining me on the program this evening is Senator Abba Moro, is the Senate Minority Leader. He joins virtually. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let me start by asking the obvious question. What really transpired on the floor of the House between yourself and the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, as regards the PDP?
Well, what transpired on the floor of the Senate on that day was actually a robust discussion about issues that were brought up before the Senate. Principally, it was the issue of defection of Senator Ned Moko from the PDP to the APC, and of course, arguments about the requirements of the law and whether that defection made the requirement of the law, and for us to appropriately put the record straight before the Senate and Nigerians. That was what transpired, and I think it was a normal legislative process.
He said something. He said, as it is known, the People's Democratic Party once stood as a platform for democratic engagement. For many who, of course, have been observing, political happenings in the country, particularly when it comes to opposition, we know this is not the first time the Senate President, who was a former member of the party, has taken what some would call a swipe at the PDP, particularly its style of leadership and maybe the internal crisis within the party. So my question to you is this, is the PDP still a strong opposition?
Well, I think that the PDP is a strong opposition party, because if you want to be honest with yourselves, you know that at the moment there are two political parties, and it's the PDP and the APC.
How about the Labour
There are
Party?
other political parties, of course, but when it comes to strong showing, you can only talk about the PDP and the APC. Let me tell you quite frankly here that the only difference between the APC and the PDP at this moment is the fact that the APC is a ruling party. I mean, come to be honest with yourself, you know that, yes, PDP has some share of political crisis, litigations here and there in some courts. You know also that the APC also is embroiled in some form of crisis or the other, either at the national level or at the state levels, and they are also embroiled in litigations here and there. And so I think that, like I said, the only difference between the PDP and the APC today is the fact that the APC is a ruling party. And if you talk in terms of a strong opposition, I can tell you, the PDP is a strong opposition, no doubt about it. We have, at the moment that I'm talking to you, 33 senators, on the platform of the PDP in the Senate. Of course, we lost one recently to the APC. And we still remain the PDP that you know. And we're trying to make sure that we reposition the PDP in such a way that it can present an alternative to Nigerians in 2027.
I mean, you insist that the party still remains a strong position, if not, the strongest, saying that you have the highest amount of course, elected public officers. But we are beginning to see quite a number of them to defect to the ruling party. And still within the People's Democratic Party, which is your party, we're also seeing a lot of internal crisis. And this brings to the fore its strength as an opposition. So I'm still going to ask you that question. Given everything happening within the People's Democratic Party, for political, followers, it looks like it's a sinking ship.
Well, I don't think so. Let me be frank with you, because political parties are organizations of sometimes persons of different and differing ideological persuasions, and sometimes you have even strange bedfellows in the same political party. And I want to be frank with you, and I keep talking about honesty here in our assessment of situations within the PDP. Party organizations have crises and dissenting opinions sometimes. That does not make the dissenters or the dissenting persons in the party be regarded as a sinking ship. And I have given you analogies now of other political parties that are here. Labour Party has crisis, they are in court. APC has crisis, they are in court. PDP has crisis in court, and they are in court, yes. But I can tell you one thing, that the formation of the PDP was essentially to rescue Nigeria from the beginning. And today, we're having some issues with the Nigerian society, with the Nigerian system. And when push comes to shove, I can assure you that PDP will reorganize and reposition, like any other political party. And to say again and again that crisis and differences in opinion are not peculiar to PDP. They are only a universal phenomenon in party organization all over the world.
Let's move away slightly from of course, the politics within the PDP, and let's look at the Senate itself. How would you describe the leadership of Senate President Godswill Akpabio?
Well, we're moving on. He is a Senate President and was elected by the majority of senators. And I can tell you today that even senators who didn't vote for Godswill Akpabio are queuing behind him to support him to make sure that he delivers to Nigeria, because politics has gone with the elections, and what we are concentrating on now is governance for Nigeria. And so, as a leader, and the rest of us senators of the Federal Republic, we owe him a responsibility to support him to succeed, and we owe the Nigerian people, the Nigerian political system, the Nigerian democracy, an obligation to make sure that democracy succeeds. And that is what we are trying to do under the leadership of President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, GCON.
So even as a member of the opposition within the House, you are comfortable with his leadership?
The situation here now, it's not about me being comfortable or not being comfortable in opposition. And like I said, I owe the Nigerian people an obligation to subsume my interest in the interest of the country to make sure that the leadership of the Senate succeeds and does what Nigerians want and does it right. And that is why, even in opposition, I support Akpabio to succeed. Because if the National Assembly succeeds under his leadership, Nigeria succeeds.
I mean, there are talks that, looking at all of the political happenings in the country lately, that it appears the country is snowballing into a one-party system. Given the fact that even though you insist that the PDP is a strong opposition, but observers will say it doesn't really seem so. It seems like the ruling party is usurping the opposition. So I would also like to ask you this. Is Nigeria becoming a one-party state?
I mean, I think it's ridiculous to say that Nigeria is becoming a one-party state. Come to think about it. Look at democracies all over the world. The American people just had an election. The Republican Party won overwhelmingly. And the other political parties are there. So that doesn't transmute into a one-party system. Nigeria is a multi-democracy. And today, like I said, if we have...
Senator Abba Moro, we are having a bit of difficulty connecting with you, but we'll use that period to, of course, go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely pick up the conversation. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on New Central Television. And of course, we are looking at political matters across Nigeria, particularly as it regards the opposition, the People's Democratic Party. I have Senator Abba Moro. He's the Senate Minority Leader. He joins virtually from Abuja. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Now, let's expand the conversation to look at the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We know that since the commencement of the administration, some policy initiatives, have been initiated, even though Nigerians are feeling the brunt. The administration has insisted that it was necessary to put the country in the right direction. I mean, you're a member of the opposition. What do you make of the administration so far of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is it steering Nigeria in the right direction?
Well, thank you very much. And I want to say here that President Tinubu was elected by the Nigerian people to lead them for the next 4 years. And some policy decisions have been taken. And as you have rightly said, some of the policies are hurting Nigerians. But the government says that it was only temporary. And so I personally, I have objected to some aspects of the policies of government. I've said sometimes that some of the budgetary provisions and the execution of the budget has not met the expectations of some of us. I've stated this, but the withdrawal of subsidy, for instance, I kept saying that if subsidy was withdrawn, where is the money? Because it means that that money should go directly to the people to cushion the effects of the withdrawal subsidy. But there is some controversy. Recently, you will agree with me, over the newly introduced tax bills, and the Senate has taken a very critical look at the controversies. And Mr. President has said, okay, well, if you say you don't like this, you don't like that, fine. Let the Senate interface with officials of government and let them come up with a workable, implementable tax bill that will add to the solution to our myriad of economic problems. And so we are on it. And so far, I think that with the rising cost of living, with the increasing level of poverty in our land, with the level of infrastructural development that is required to meet the deficit, a lot needs to be done. And for some of us, on the other eye, I personally believe that government should come up with good policies for us to support, for government to succeed. If it is too early to give up on this government, there is a moment ahead of us. And I said, in spite of our being in opposition, if we point out errors in the system going forward, we must be able to support also policies that are good, that are in the best interest of Nigeria. Because Nigeria is the constituency. Nigeria is the project. And so by the time elections are come and gone, I think that outside pointing out errors going forward, we must support government to succeed. Because like I said before, if government succeeds, Nigeria succeeds. It doesn't matter which party, because one party has been elected to lead Nigeria at this moment, and that is APC. That is the reality on ground.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but as an opposition, you seem to be giving the current administration a pass mark.
Well, if what I have said amounts to pass mark, then that is certainly your own conclusion. But as far as I am concerned, what I have said is that Nigerians are hurting. The level of poverty is on the increase. Prices of items of food in the market are increasing. But this government says we are introducing these measures to a better.
We seem to have a bit of connectivity issues there, but definitely we would look into it. What we're discussing basically at this time is the role of the opposition currently in Nigeria's political enclave. And of course, I still have Senator Abba Moro, is the Senate Minority Leader, of course, of the opposition party there. A member of the opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, Benue South. He joins virtually from Abuja. Let's take another break. When we return, we'll definitely pick up. Stay with us. It's still Politics HQ. I still have Senator Abba Moro, the Senate Minority Leader, with me as guest today. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Now, recently, the former Vice President of Nigeria and also presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that's Atiku Abubakar, alongside some influential politicians such as Senator Abdul Ningi and also the former Cross River State Governor, Niole Moke, and some other notable politicians, had a meeting or met with former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, there are talks about some sort of alliance or coalition ahead of 2027. I would like to ask you, with all of this permutation, particularly with the PDP also at the center of this, what are we looking at? What you know, are we looking at some sort of alliance? What's going on ahead of 2027?
Well, you have appropriately captured it. Some meetings are taking place, some alignments are being forged. El-Rufai is moving around, and like you said, Atiku Abubakar and other political leaders are moving around. That is the beauty of democracy, freedom of association and freedom of movement. And so, as far as some of these people are concerned, they want to properly position themselves for critical action in 2027. But that being said, I am not aware as a political party that PDP has actually gone into any negotiations with anybody with the possibility of forming any alliance. But I do know that individuals within the party and other political parties have been talking, all in an attempt to forge some kind of relationship ahead of 2027. And we'll watch out to see how it plays out.
I'm forced to ask, how united is the PDP right now?
Well, I have told you about some of the issues that confront the PDP today, the issue of leadership, some form of crisis here and there, litigations here and there. But as far as PDP as an organization is concerned, we are one beautiful family. Let me tell you, there is no local government, there is no village, there is no polling unit that you go today that you won't find members of the PDP. What is actually happening at the level of leadership of PDP is unfortunate, but there are issues that can be resolved. And I can tell you that if the average PDP member in the village doesn't know any other party other than PDP. I can tell you this. And so all that is required on the part of the leaders of the PDP is to arrange to disagree to agree, and then come back to what PDP used to be, that formidable largest political party in Africa. And I can assure you, moving forward, PDP will come back to its former shape.
All right, you mentioned something as regards the tax reform and stating that there are some reservations. I mean, you are a leader in the House. My question to you is this. These reservations which have been highlighted, have they been looked into? What is the position right now?
Well, we're looking into it and work on resolving or reconciling some aspects of the tax reform is on. For your information, the Senate set up an ad hoc advisory committee, reconciliation committee, under my leadership. I'm the chairman of that committee, with members from all the geopolitical zones. And we have met. We have also interfaced with officials of government, the Attorney General of the Federation, the chairman of the FIRS, the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, and other relevant government agencies to address the gray areas that people have complained about, especially the governors. And we have been examining these gray areas, and we have put a draft of these reports together, and I can assure you that within the next week or highest upper week, a report of that committee will be submitted to the Senate that set up the committee. And in addition to that, you are well aware that Mr. President has met with the Forum of Governors, and some level of resolution have been reached on some of the key areas of disagreement. And so hopefully, by the time we add our voice to those resolutions, I can assure you that Nigeria will have a very workable, implementable tax reform bill that can be passed by the National Assembly for the betterment of the Nigerian people.
I mean, some of the fears of Nigerians is that given the current economic hardship that many are facing, how will this tax reform impact on their cost and standard of living? I mean, are there particular specifics to address these concerns by Nigerians?
Well, I don't think I want to preempt the report that this committee will submit to the Senate when we resume, but I can assure you that all the areas of concern of Nigerians are being addressed, and that is why we first of all had to come up with an interface with the Attorney General of the Federation and the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Services to ensure that areas that hurt Nigerians are appropriately amended to take away such a hurtful area. Don't forget that lawmaking is a process, and some of us are of the view that what is good for Nigeria, but not good at this point in time of some extreme hardship, can be kept in abeyance. and then gradually introduced. I can give you a hint of what to expect, but I can assure you.
Would appreciate it if you can give some sort of hint. Would appreciate the hint. Nigerians want to hear.
Yeah, Nigerians will hear at the right time. But if I'm chairman of the committee that is addressing the concerns of Nigerians to submit to a larger body of the Senate, and I tell you the recommendations that we are making now, I think you would think that I'm irresponsible.
All right, let's move away slightly from that, and let's look at, of course, the internal politics still within the People's Democratic Party. You said something about the fact that political parties sometimes are convergence of people with personal interests, and once those interests maybe are not met, they might choose to move. So I'm going to ask you a direct question here. I mean, we are seeing some notable political individuals leave the party for various reasons. Are we also looking at a time when maybe you will leave the People's Democratic Party simply because you are not comfortable with what is happening there? Will you leave your party?
I will not leave my party. Because if my party, at the time of comfort, gave me a platform to come to the Senate and there is crisis in the party, I stayed behind and salvaged the situation. I won't leave PDP.
So irrespective of what is going on, you still remain with the People's Democratic Party?
Because I believe that whatever is going on in the PDP now can be resolved.
All right, let's go on another break. When we return, we'll definitely pick up. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And of course, I still have with me Senator Abba Moro, is the Senate Minority Leader. He joins me virtually. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Let me read an excerpt for you from an interview that you recently granted with the press. Part of the things you said, I believe in collaboration. Compromise is a veritable instrument in leadership. Opposition should persuade people to act in ways that may not initially consider. End of quote. These, of course, were part of the things you said in that interview. And that brings me to my question of the role of the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, who is an active minister under the ruling administration and who is also a member of the People's Democratic Party, your party. For some people, they will say, they will consider it anti-party. But, I mean, even within the party, some members have said, well, maybe not. What's your take? Senator Abba Moro. Okay, I think we have a bit of connection issues there, but just to also clear the air on a report or to give an update on a part of our headlines that I read at the start of the show, there is a developing story or follow-up story to that, and that is the story where I told you that the PDP dismisses or suspends the party's BOT chairman, Senator Wabara. We have an update to that. There's a press statement to that effect where, of course, the PDP, that's NWC, dismisses purported suspension of BOT of Party Board of Trustees Chairman Senator Wabara. The update is the attention of the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has been drawn to the purported suspension of the Chairman of the Board of Trustees of our great party, distinguished Senator Adolphus Wabara, from the party. Now, the NWC categorically dismisses the purported suspension as null and void and of no effect whatsoever, not being consistent with the provisions of the Constitution of the People's Democratic Party and laid down rules of the great party. Of course, press release further says that for emphasis, No state working committee has the power to suspend or take any disciplinary action against a member of the National Executive Committee of the party without due recourse to the NWC as clearly provided under Section 57, subsection 7 of the Constitution of the party, and of course, press release goes on. But basically, it's saying that he has not been suspended. So it's just to bring you up to speed as regards that particular story. I think we, of course, have him back, Senator Abba Moro. Okay, I understand that we are still trying to connect with him. Well, I guess at this point, this is where we, of course, drop the curtains on today's show. Thank you so much for being a part of it. It's been a great one. In case you missed out, you can actually choose to follow us on social media and catch up there. That's at News Central TV. The handle is there on your screen. You can also choose to follow me personally at Dakbo at Digboy. Thank you so much once again. Good night.